Hello everyone, welcome back. So we will continue with our learning of ethics crash course, and we have already discussed about 3 units, that is unit 1, 2 and 3, and today we will be discussing about the fourth unit, that is our emotional intelligence. So in this fourth unit, UPSC syllabus is mentioning only 2 points. So these 2 points are, the first one is about concepts, and second they are mentioning about their utilities and application in administration and governance. Okay. So these are the only two things, two subpoints under the unit 4 emotional intelligence, and this is also very important area, not only from learning point of view, from our personality point of view, but it is also important because very direct question UPSC is asking from this unit. We'll see, we will discuss, then you will get to know. So before we dwell deeper into what is emotional intelligence, so these two words, emotional intelligence, this word emotional, it consists of emotion, right? So it is being derived from emotion, and there is a word intelligence. We will understand everything in detail. But emotional intelligence, in order to understand that, first we should know what are emotions, right? Emotions. Our emotions, they are always in motion. They are always mobile. They move from one place to other. If I am emotional, if I express my emotions, it will be conveyed to you. Emotion. Okay, so let's understand it properly. Okay, when we see this image, what is happening here? What are you getting? What kind of feel you are getting? So in this image, let me tell it for you. So as you can see, there is a car. This is a scenario where there is one girl, one lady is there, one girl is there. So by age you can say that, okay, she is mother of this girl, fine. Now just imagine a scenario where such like this, in this scenario, one car is drowning, okay, and there are parents, mother and father both are there, and their girl child is there, let's say not of this age but further, or like infant or younger age, let's say of 5 years or 10 years, and suddenly by accident the car is now in a river and it is drowning. Both of the parents, they know swimming, but the child doesn't know swimming, how to swim, how to save herself. Now these parents, they knew that okay, they can save themselves, but they want to save the girl child, right? So they didn't think about themselves. They went and they opened the car, and then they did everything whatever they could do in order to save the girl child, and ultimately, you know what was the outcome? The outcome was the child was alive and both of the parents, they lost their life. Now in this scenario, we know about utilitarianism, we know about rationality, logic, intelligence. So if we go by utilitarianism, the philosophy of utilitarianism, कि जब दो लोगों की life बच सकती थी, so why they were foolish? So intellectual people will say they were foolish, they could have saved 2 lives in place of 1 life. Logic, reasoning, knowledge, rationality will also say that only. But when it comes to emotions, when it comes to a relationship where parents, they are taking care of their kid, in this scenario their child, their logic, rationality, or for that matter utilitarian philosophy, nothing will come handy. There they were guided by their emotions of love, care. They were not guided that okay, by any such emotion or any such feeling that they should save their life first. No. So this supreme sacrifice of the parent in this particular scenario, and like this we come across on daily basis, we come across such stories or such scenarios. Even our parents have sacrificed so many things for ourselves, for our education, for our comfort. We should recognize that, right? So here what we are trying to convey is that emotions are guiding our behavior. Emotions are guiding our behavior. Let's understand it with the help of another story, another image. This would have happened with most of you. You would be driving somewhere. Let's say you are driving somewhere in coastal part of the country, eastern coast or western coast, and suddenly you see, especially in the eastern coast, you suddenly you see that, okay, cyclonic clouds are there, heavy cyclone is coming, thunder, lightning, rain, then you are driving and then you calculate, no, it's, you get that fear, anxiety, what if it will harm me, no, I should stop my bike, I will drive only once this is over. You find a space, you find a place where you can park your vehicle, you can forget about vehicle at that point of time, you will look for a chat, you will look for a roof where you can safeguard your life. You will be worried about your parents, you will be worried about your family, your friends, especially your family you will be worried about. So that fear, anxiety here in this case is guiding your behavior to stop and take a refuge at safe place. This is what? This is again emotion. So there in the previous scenario, our love was guiding our behavior. Here fear and anxiety is guiding our behavior. In both of the cases, it is guiding our behavior. So this is emotion. Emotion also plays very important role in guiding our behavior on day-to-day basis, in day-to-day life, everywhere we are guided by our emotion, and there is nothing wrong about it. People say that you are emotional. So what is bad in that? After all, I am a human being. I have to be emotional. I should understand people. I should understand my emotions. I should be in a position to express myself. Right? So what is emotion? If we understand emotion, emotion is all emotions are in essence impulses to act, the instant plans for handling life. So what this definition is telling? This definition, according to this definition, emotions are impulses to act. They are impulses because of which we act. These are the instant plans for handling our life, our scenarios. And over a period of time, we will become mature. We will understand our emotions and accordingly we will take actions. Right? So this is emotion for us. Emotion is also our intuitive feeling, which we can distinguish from reasoning and knowledge. It is not same as reasoning and knowledge. It is our intuitive feeling. Right? So now you know emotions. Also, you can say that emotion is a strong feeling deriving from one's circumstances, mood, or relationship with others. Right? So this is emotion for us. Now emotion is important. Let's have a look at it. So we have discussed two definitions, and these definitions are very important because sometimes UPSC maybe directly they will not ask what is emotion or what are emotions, but they are asking different types of emotions which we will see. Okay, so we have at least few keywords with us that, okay, what is emotion? So it is our intuitive feeling. This is one. Then we can say that it is distinguished from reasoning and knowledge. That is another. Also, it is one of the strong feeling. It is a strong feeling which is coming out of our circumstances and relationships or moods with others. Okay, so remember this, that these keywords are important when we frame our introduction, when we frame or whenever we try to understand that, okay, what is it? Not only emotion or any type of emotion, when we are writing in the answer, then we should have these keywords with which we can introduce. You will understand it when we will discuss the question. Okay? So this is with respect to emotions. So if we have to summarize, then what are emotions? So emotions are, what are emotions? Emotions, it is coming from the root word that is motre, that is to move, and e means move away. It is something which always is on movement. If I am having anger or if I am showing love, it will be communicated or it will move from one place to other. So that is movement. It is moving away from you. Whatever you are feeling, it will come to me. So it is, that's why it is always said that always be happy, generate positive emotions, think positive so that you can spread the same happiness or positivity. Okay. Now let's have a look that what kind of, okay. Another aspect of emotion which we have to understand is it is a complex psychological state. Complex psychological state which has three different components. Subjective experience. So emotion is subjective in nature. Why? Because whatever I am feeling, the intensity will be different, and then whatever you are feeling, the intensity might be different. Intensity of anger, intensity of jealousy, intensity of happiness. Always we experience mixed emotions. You are going for UPSC exam, let's say, at the same time you are excited and nervous also. You have got the results, and that results will generate happiness, joy. At the same time we also start crying tears of happiness. Try to understand it with the help of this image. When we say it is a subjective experience that according to different scenario it will vary. Maybe it also happens that in a same situation an individual experiences mixed emotions. So I am going for UPSC exam, or I am getting married or having baby, joy will be there, nervousness will be there, right? We are going for the exam, that happiness is there, that okay, after qualifying this exam I will become IAS officer, or whatever my dream will become, I will be able to get my dream. But at the same time we are having anxiety, what will happen in this exam. So that's why it is subjective experience. According to different situation, different people, the intensity will vary, and subjective in experience. It has a physiological response according to fear, love, goosebumps, shivering, your heartbeat will increase. So it is emotions, they also lead to physiological response, and accordingly behavioral response will be there. We will be sad, we will be happy, it depends, it varies, right? So this is emotion. Emotion is a complex psychological state. Now you must be wondering that why we are discussing emotion in that detail. Every day we experience emotion, every day we go through some or the other emotion since childhood. So why sir is discussing about this? This is important because UPSC is asking questions on these. Now let's understand other aspects. So before we move to discuss the other aspects or what kind of questions are being asked, I want all of you to write this question. Have you ever experienced any kind of emotional hijacking? When we say what emotional hijacking, it means not having any kind of control over our emotions. So that is called emotional hijacking. Sometimes we will be so angry that we are not bothered about any kind of logic, reasoning. We don't care about other type of emotions, be it love or anything. So do write and then let me know. We will discuss. Write it here in the class itself. Okay. So 2 minutes. You have already the templates for thought to ponder sheets. So thought to ponder, we have given the template. Write in that much only. Is that much space only. So the question is, have you ever experienced emotional hijacking? That is no control over your emotions. So what you have to do, you have to narrate, and then you have to take examples from your lives and tell whether you have experienced it or not. So do write it. Okay. In the meantime, before you proceed, there is another thought to ponder for you. How do you manage yourself in an event of emotional hijacking? How do you manage yourself in an event of emotional hijacking? This is another thought to ponder. It is a related question, that's why I am showing it to you. So the first question was, have you ever experienced emotional hijacking? That is no control over emotions. And the second one is, how do you manage yourself in an event of emotional hijacking? So write it and then we will discuss about it. The first one. Okay, so do write, think harder. So this is important. These thought to ponders are important because they give you a perspective, immediate perspective about the topic, about yourself. And trust me, this is important. We should know ourselves. You will realize the importance. Come on, come on, come on. Think. Okay. So when you would be writing this, you would have come across scenarios where you have lost control, where you have lost complete control. Okay. So when you are done, I will share few experiences. Come on, think faster and write. Yes. So sometimes UPSC will give these kind of keywords, emotional hijacking. Then we are clueless in the exam that okay, such a heavy word, what to write about it? Try to decode. Okay, done. Next is, how do you manage yourself in an event of emotional hijack? So you must have handled such situations beautifully. You must have come across the situations where you have no control over yourself. Then how did you manage? You would have done something to come out of that scenario. Okay. So do write about this as well. Write in the class itself. Don't wait for that, okay sir, I will write after the class and then okay, I can manage, why to write such questions. So let me tell you frankly that whatever thought to ponder we are discussing or we are doing, everything you have to write here only. You will get the first hand experience of the brainstorming. You will get to know about yourself. And in ethics, these kind of exercises are very important because we don't know what kind of questions are coming. So until unless we know ourselves and until unless we are familiar with the thorough with the conceptual clarity of whole syllabus, till then we cannot write good answers. So it is very important, especially in ethics paper, unlike other GS 1, 2, 3 paper. Okay. So think. Okay, please stop. I hope you all would have written about it, because this is something from your life. Okay, let me explain. What is emotional hijacking? So sometimes we come across such information or such news in the newspaper. We read that okay, because of anger, the person lost the control and he killed someone, right? The person was going on road and he lost the control and he hit it was hit by, they hit the car, any person sleeping on road or anyone. So you know what I am talking about or whom I am talking about. So it can be under the influence of anger, under the influence of any other emotion. Sometimes our brain or our body will be consumed by any particular emotions and we will lose the control. It can be in rage of anger, in the rage of revenge. Sometimes people lose control. So that is called emotional hijacking. We experience, we also have gone through that, any particular anger or any particular emotion. We sometimes we will be consumed by or we will be hijacked by love. So we don't care about anything, we don't think anything. So it happens. Emotional hijacking is very common. But we should also know that how our emotions are flowing and we should also know how to control them. Okay. So this sets the tone for the questions which were asked by UPSC, and now you are familiar about such events from your life as well. Okay, let's have a look at the types of emotions. So emotions, when we say types of emotions, so the emotions has been categorized under the positive emotion and the negative emotion. Very true, because emotion can give positive experiences or positive results, and it can also at the same time give negative experiences or negative results. And that's why they have been categorized as negative emotions, because they drain you. When we say positive, they give you energy, they rejuvenate you. They not only rejuvenate you, but they also help in building good positive relations between two individuals or in society. But when we talk about negative emotions, they are not good for your body, they are not good for our relation, they are not good for the society. For example, when we talk about positive, they can be happiness. If we are happy, our family will be happy, our society will be happy, and ultimately it is good for the body as well. So that is happiness, is that's why happiness can be termed as positive emotion. Empathy, we empathize with others, we understand others. When we understand others, then we feel others will also feel good that okay, somebody is understanding us. So empathy is a positive emotion. Pride, hope, we say Indian freedom struggle, what happened? Hope was there. So hope is a positive emotion. Faith, joy, love. So by looking at them, you can you can experience those words within yourself as well, and thus you know what is positive, what is negative, right? Hate, communal tensions. Fear of losing someone, fear of not qualifying the exam. Guilt, that I have done this, living in guilt. What kind of experience, or the subjective, physiological or behavioral experiences do you can must be experiencing, or you can say when you see this word guilt or sadness, what kind of experience or visualization you are having about uh, the word guilt or sadness or shame, right? So this way these are positive and negative emotions. So in 1970s, a psychologist named Paul Ekman, that however this is not important, Paul Ekman, he identified 6 basic types of happiness after reading various personalities like happiness, empathy, joy, okay, sadness. So he considered that okay, these are the what basic types of emotions. Okay, fear, disgust, anger, not important for you. Even in our we read in art and culture and ancient history about now rasa, now ras. Indian literature, they talk about now ras, and based on that we have different types of bhav, different types of rags. Okay, so emotions play a very important role, and not only from psychology point of view, but in our day-to-day life, and also as we discussed in literature, since ancient time we have observed them, and we have different activities around different types of emotions. In morning different emotion will be there, so different raga is there, right? The classical dance, they express different types of emotions. So thus we have different types of bhav, different type of ragas, right? So yes, we have experienced and we have studied emotions in detail in the past as well, and on day-to-day basis we are reading emotions. Okay, now we will understand something in with respect to UPSC's point of view, that how UPSC has been asking questions. Okay, so this question was asked by UPSC in 2014, and the question is saying all human beings aspire for happiness. True. Do you agree? The question is, do you agree? And sorry, what does happiness mean to you? Explain with examples. So read it very carefully. So we have already discussed it in the previous in unit 1. So we are not going to discuss in detail here, and we have discussed the structure and everything, but still again I am reiterating the importance of highlighting the demand of the question. So whenever we say demand of the question, here you see there is one statement, all human beings aspire for happiness. Whenever such questions are coming, and the question's main demand here is, do you agree? So this is main, this is part 1. You have to comment on this, all human beings aspire for happiness. Already we have discussed, we have written the answer also there, but again we are reiterating the importance of identification. So all human beings aspire for happiness, do you agree? So yes, you have to agree or not agree, but you have to comment upon this, that all humans aspire for happiness. Second is, what does happiness mean to you when they are talking about this? That's why we need to know ourselves. Now did you realize the importance of the thought to ponder which we discussed? Have you ever experienced emotional hijacking? Then what did you do to come out of that situation? Why? Because UPSC has been asking questions like this, what does happiness mean to you? So happiness is what? A kind of emotion. Happiness is a value, as we discussed in the previous in unit 1. So thus happiness is something very subjective. It will vary from one person to other. So that's why they are asking, what does happiness mean to you? So this is our second part of the question. And there is a sub part of second question. It is saying explain with examples. So when you are telling about examples, so what examples will you quote? Will you quote the examples from someone else's life? No, we will quote examples from our life, what they mean to us. Okay, so we all have written in detail about it and we have discussed. But yeah, we discussed here the importance of identifying the demand of the question. Now let's have a look at another question which was asked by UPSC in 2016. And this is also a question based on emotion. Let's have a look. The question is, anger is harmful negative emotion. Anger, and that too it is a harmful negative emotion. It is injurious to both personal life and work life. Now be very careful. They are saying personal and work, both they have highlighted. So this is a statement. They will give a statement and then they will put two questions and they will ask us to reply. Okay, so here this question was of 10 marks only. You will get 2 pages only, front and back. Now the idea is that this is a statement we have to comment upon. We should not ignore that. Next part is discuss how it leads to negative emotions and undesirable behaviors. So again 2 components are there. That how anger leads to other negative emotions and undesirable behavior. Next part of the question is how can it be managed and controlled? Isn't it very interesting? That in syllabus nowhere UPSC is mentioning about emotions. In this unit they are talking about emotional intelligence. But still they are asking questions on emotions. How come? How to handle that? In such scenarios, what shall we do? So now we need to answer on all these parts. So we'll discuss it. We'll discuss, then you will realize the importance of in what depth we shall know it and in what depth we should have it. So whenever we are talking about anger is a harmful negative emotion, so what we have to do, first we should tell the meaning and impact, because next line is talking about that only, injurious. So we have to, first we should comment upon, in introduction only we have to, so if we say that okay, there has to be a introduction for every answer, there has to be a body aspect, and then we should have conclusion. Next will be how it can be managed, and then we will conclude. Okay, so this is what we should handle. Okay, so the first part, in introduction you will write about managing, we will talk about what is the impact and meaning of anger. So we already know that anger is a negative emotion. We will talk about it. We will introduce it. So whenever we are introducing whatever we discussed about the definition of emotion, that way we will take the components from there and we will introduce. So anger is what? Anger is an intense feeling. Feeling of what? Feeling of hostility. So this way we will introduce it. So it is a feeling of hostility. Then you can also say that it is a feeling of frustration, agitation, right? So add 2-3 keywords: frustration, agitation. So you are taking these keywords in order to introduce anger. Anger is a feeling of hostility, frustration, agitation, and it is expressed through what? Voice of tone. Our tone will change. The tone of the voice will change. Like in anger we start yelling, this, that. Our body language will change. Physical response of the body, as we discussed the components of the the emotions. It is a psychological state of mind, and then we discussed it as a subjective experience. Physiological response and behavioral response will be there. So accordingly, you bring in the understanding what we have discussed, and then you tell that it is a feeling of hostility, frustration, and agitation which will be expressed through yelling or shouting. It will be expressed through our behavioral changes. Our heart when we will be angry, our heartbeat will increase. With some people, they will have their cheeks will turn red, their ear will turn red. So these are physiological responses. Then you can also say that our body language will become very aggressive. We start showing face to people, we become very aggressive. So our body language also will be aggressive. Okay, so this is about introduction. Second part of the question would be that how should we manage it, how it leads to negative emotions. So there are two parts. Now we are discussing about body. Body has two parts. Part A we discussed and part B is there. Basically we are talking about demand of the question. So there are two demands of the question. One is that how it leads to negative other emotions and undesirable behavior, and the second is that how it can be managed. Now you must be worried that okay, there are two parts, 10 marks only, 2 pages only, what shall we do? So you have to give introduction, then you have to hit the demand A, then demand B, and then we should conclude. And whenever such questions are asked that there are sub parts, then do make sure that okay, you are writing 4 to 5 points for this and 4 to 5 points for this. You should not compromise your content. Okay, how it lead to other negative emotions? When we know that when we are angry, it blocks our reasoning. So that can be your first point. So it blocks our reasoning. There will be hostility in relations. Our behavior becomes unpredictable. We are angry. Nobody can understand about us. So our behavior will be unpredictable. So what to do in that case? There will be hostility in relations, right? So there are two ways. You mix both of them, emotional experience or how it leads to other negative emotions and behavior. You mix both of them and write your point. That is the best approach, because for every point you cannot have subcategories. It will consume time, it will consume space. So you write that how it blocks our reasoning, how it brings hostility in relations, then behavior becomes unpredictable. Sometimes it leads to impulsive actions. Because of that particular emotion, we will do something else. So it leads to that. And when we talk about negative feelings, so negative feelings can be of jealousy. There can be a feeling of hatredness, enmity, right? Enmity, hatredness. So these are other negative emotions. There can be a feeling of revenge, resentment. So those are also negative feelings. So you have content. If we think like that, category wise, and if we highlight the keyword itself, then we can manage our answer. We know what to write. Okay. Next part of the question. Okay. Whenever you are writing such things, let's say that it leads to jealousy, it leads to enmity, hatredness. Don't simply write only keywords or your observation. You can here use the value additions, quotations, examples. For example, whenever you are writing any such point, then you can say that anger is like a hot coal which harms us first when we hold. Anger is like a hot coal, it harms us first before we throw it on others. It is like handling a hot coal in hand. This was the observation of Gautam Buddha about anger. So you write such quotations and observations in order to enrich your answers. So this is what we call as value addition. Okay. So whenever you are talking about blocking reasoning, it blocks reasoning. You can quote the instance of Vishwarupa of Shri Krishna in Mahabharata. Still, Duryodhana was unable to understand that what he is doing. In order to make him understand, Krishna showed his Vishwarupa, but it didn't work. It shows that how it blocks the reasoning, hatredness, anger, how it blocks our reasoning, and we will be not able to see anything. Right? So use such case studies, anecdotes, examples, quotations in order to enrich your points. Second part of the question was how it can be managed. So on day-to-day basis, in day-to-day life, everybody has their own management plans. We manage it the way our personality is. It depends upon our personality. It depends upon our upbringing, education, that how are we managing our emotions, right? So here again we have to write, see, minimum 4 to 5 points I am telling. 4 to 5 points here, 4 to 5 points here, right? But it depends that you have to manage both the pages, you have to manage all the subparts, all the contents of the question, then only our answer will be complete, and then only we can expect that, okay, out of 10 we should get more than 5 or 6. Yes, you can get. That's how people are reaching 140, 130, 150. So when it comes to management, here there is no need to write big things or some observation by psychologist. You write small things on day-to-day basis. What are we doing in order to manage our anger? So what do? First you think about yourself, that whenever we are becoming angry, we become observant about it. Being observant about it, taking a note of it, we identify our emotions. In order to do this, what we have to do? We have to do self-analysis. So self-analysis is very important, a step which we need to do in order to understand ourselves. Then only we will know about us, that okay, how my emotions are playing, what kind of role they are playing, right? So being observant and doing self-analysis. And self-analysis, we will read that it is one of the component of emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, right? We become observant about our body language, as we discussed the 3 components of emotions: subjective experience, physiological reaction, and behavioral response. Based on that, you will analyze yourself, whether I am becoming angry or what kind of emotion is there in I am experiencing at the present moment, and accordingly we will, if we are observant, if we are good at self-analysis, then accordingly we will put a check on that positive or negative emotion depending upon what kind of emotion it is, and thus so that it should not lead to us towards emotional hijacking, right? So 2 points. You can, few people practice this delayed reaction. I have seen people that whenever they are angry, they start counting backwards, they start breathing, they start practicing yoga, meditation. Few people will go away. In Andamanis, the tribal group, they have this practice that whenever they are angry, they will come and yell at each other, and for 2 days they will go deep into the forest. So they are managing their anger like that, so that once they are back to the community after 2 days, they are not discussing about anger. They are done and dusted. There is another tribal community, in order to manage anger, they break the commodities, important precious commodities of the community, in order to highlight, see that what anger can do. So every community, every individual have their own way of handling. So that you can write delayed response. Sometimes in order to avoid anger, we become a good listener. Why? Because it helps us in understanding other people's perspective. If we are a good listener, we will understand others, then we will think before we will speak, think before our action, and accordingly we'll take a step, right? So it is that way: being observant, self-analysis, delayed response, listener. So these are 4 or 5 points. Let's say if it is very severe, then if it is very severe, what we do? We take the help of counselor, we take clinical help, We go to psychological experts and accordingly we seek help from them. So that is another way how it can be managed. Also, there are personalities who do the constructive channelization of anger. You take the example of Sachin Tendulkar. So whenever we think about cricket world and that era when Sachin Tendulkar and Ricky Ponting used to play together, so now on one hand we have Sachin Tendulkar, on the other hand we have Ricky Ponting. Who is managing their anger, who is channelizing their anger in what direction? Ricky Ponting used to do sledging. He used to speak it out. He used to believe in that. Sachin Tendulkar used to show his anger or channelize his anger through his batting. It depends. So it depends upon individual that how they are managing. Few people talk to their family members, or you can say express themselves. They express themselves to their family members, to their friends, and they try to vent out their negative emotion. They try to vent out their anger, and thus accordingly they manage negative emotion. Stepping away from the situation. Andaman is, they're not facing people whenever they're angry, stepping away from the situation. So there are various rules, various ways through which anger can be managed. Right? So we have only discussed around 5 to 6 points. Then you can also say that there is a 90:10 rule, that 90% of our problems will be because of our emotions. Right? 90% of the problems are created by just 10% of our reaction. So you can mention about such observation also, 90:10 principle. So this is just about the second part of the question. So why I am discussing this in detail is that we have answer, or based on our observation only we can get the answer. We have to just think harder, but it will not happen naturally in the exam until unless we have practiced like this. This was a question by UPSC in 2016, before that on happiness. So these questions are important. If we practice the previous year questions, if any question is coming in future, we will be in a position to handle it. Next part of the question, the demand is our conclusion. So in conclusion you can write, now we have to close that if managed how it can help. So the first part is saying that how it can lead to negative emotions and behavior. The second part was telling about management aspect. In conclusion, always the conclusion should be futuristic, optimistic, and thus whenever we are ending our answer, it should end on a positive note. So on positive note, you will write in conclusion that if anger will be managed, then how it can lead to beautiful relationships, peace and harmonious society. The health of the individual will be good. So we can talk in that manner. So if managed, you just tell that how it can lead to constructive channelization. It motivates others to find solution. It helps in making decisions when we want to solve problems. We will not create problems. You can write about Kailash Satyarthi, that he was also angry about the situation, about he was angry with his family members, his society, and then he channelized his anger in a right direction, and today he is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. So this way we should use people, quotations, examples, observations in our answer to enrich it. So hope you got a clarity. Now even after discussing in this detail, trust me, when you will sit on your own, when you are writing, and that too in an exam scenario, for a 10 marker we have to give 7 minutes maximum. So when you will sit and when you will write, still you will not get the same points. Our points will be unique. But when we practice, think, brainstorm, then only at right time, right points will come. So do attempt, after this also do attempt in 7 minutes and then see how you are writing, how you are doing. Okay? Chalo, coming back to our slides and understanding that what and how questions are being asked. Okay, so we have discussed about anger is a harmful negative emotion, how it is injurious for health, And yes, so now again you read the question, discuss how it leads to negative emotions, behaviors, and desirable behaviors, how it can be managed and controlled. Okay, next. This question was asked by UPSC in 2020. So earlier we have a question from 2016 on anger, emotions. Next we have a question on uh, another emotion in 2020. The question is, hatred is destructive of person's wisdom. Always, whenever you are reading the question, always highlight the keywords, key points in the question. Okay, it is telling it is destructive of person's wisdom and conscience, that can poison a nation's spirit. This is within quotes. Do you agree with this view? They're asking you only whether you agree it or not, and justify your answer. Whenever it is said that justify your answer, whatever our observation would be, we have to substantiate it with the help of examples. We have to do it, then only it will be complete. Again, it is of 10 marks. You will get 2 pages to write. There should be proper introduction, body, and conclusion. But now you tell me, in 2020 they are asking, and 2016 we have discussed that anger is a negative emotion. It leads to different types of behavior, emotions, negative behavior, how to manage it, how to control it. What the question is asking in specific now? Hatred is destructive of person's wisdom and conscience, that can poison nation spirit. Can't you bring the content from the first question, the previous question, anger question? And also it is saying that justify your answer with examples. Definitely think harder. We have discussed about emotions, we have discussed about anger in detail. Okay, if we discuss it again, so let me take the whiteboard. Yeah. Introduction. Again you will introduce hatredness. What is hatredness? It is a feeling of revenge, jealousy, not liking someone, a strong feeling of disliking. So that way you will introduce a strong feeling of dislike and hate. See, there is no way that we will have definition for each and everything. But what we have to do, in order to manage our answers, we should be in a position to observe that particular, we should be able to visualize that particular feeling, that particular emotion, or whatever is being asked in the question, and accordingly we should be able to frame our answer. We should be in a position to get the right word. So what is hatredness? It is a feeling of dislike, it is a feeling of not liking someone, or hate, similar to anger, what we have discussed. And the question is saying it leads to, it is not good. Hatredness is not good, and it leads to destruction of person's wisdom and conscience. 2 components were there. So you will write, introduce about hatredness, that it is a feeling of dislike, it is a feeling of hate. So when these feelings will be there, what will happen? What will be outcome? Think, visualize, and write that it leads to, it again, it blocks reasoning, it leads to hostility, it leads to undesirable actions, it will further lead to undesirable emotions like anger, jealousy, resentment, whatever we have discussed earlier. Don't you think that content will be helpful here? Don't you think that content is easily we can fit that content? Hatredness or anger, it leads to destruction of our knowledge as well. Vishwarupa we discussed. We discussed the quotation of Gautam Buddha. Don't you think that we can bring in such elements? Yes, we can. And you can also say that because of hatredness, there will be a vicious cycle of revenge, communal tensions, spoiling the spirit of the nation. That is the second part of the question. So when we are writing body, now we have discussed about all these things. Here what I wanted to highlight is that by handling the previous year question of 2016 anger and writing and having a good content around it, we can manage the question in 2020 as well with the same content. Right? Next part of the question. Or here you can also, when we are talking about revenge, you can say that it is well said that before you embark on the journey of revenge, dig two graves. Now you know, right? Okay. Now when such things are being practiced in the society, in the nation, then how it will spoil at society level. If they are being practiced, it will lead to what? It will lead to communal tensions, communal issues. It will lead to racial attacks, racism. It will lead to, in any way, our integration or unity will be affected. Now apply the same concept between two people, between different communities, between different societies, and then you analyze that how it is spoiling nation's spirit. In extreme form, it will lead to negative form of regionalism. So you can bring that as well. Okay, I want all of you to think. Don't just sit ideal that okay, sir is giving points, we will note it down. Think harder and contribute. It will lead to regionalism, it breeds enmity, and because of enmity, what will happen? It further leads to terrorism, mob lynching, right? It leads to that as well. Not only that, people will have prejudice. A prejudiced behavior will be there. Prejudiced behavior will be there towards any particular community or individual or anyone. So this prejudice leads to what kind of behavior? Discrimination, stereotyping, prejudice, and discrimination. You know the sequence we have discussed in our unit 2 as well, right? So prejudice behavior, what is happening in our society, caste based conflicts, or a particular behavior towards Dalit people, toward Hindu Muslim conflict. So that however you will write in communal tensions. So these are the points we have discussed around 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 points, how it spoils the nation's spirit. But we will not stop here, because we have another part of the question, another demand. According to the structure, we have to write about conclusion. So our conclusion should be accordingly. Again, we are here talking that our conclusion has to be futuristic in nature. It should be optimistic in nature. So the question was asking how it spoils nation's spirit, and substantiated with the help of example that we have done. Now the next part of the question is that conclusion. So conclusion has to be futuristic. You can say that hatredness should be replaced by objectivity. What do we need? If hatredness is there, anger is there, what do we need in order to replace them? What kind of positive emotions or behavioral responses are required? So we will write about those things. We will write that objectivity and rationality should be there. We should, if any form of tension is there, sometimes it happens because of lack of communication. Not sometimes, most of the time it happens because of that. There will be no proper communication between two individuals, two family members or community. Does it even in international relations, because of lack of communication, India, Pakistan, India, China, such issues, such tensions will happen. So communication should be there in order to handle hatredness. Communication. We should not generalize. We should avoid generalization. We should understand people. So there is there is a theory of cultural relativism, ethnocentrism. We should understand different culture, their point of view. We should understand others. There should be empathy, right? So you will write about that. You will mention about that. Forgiveness. You talk about whatever it is. Forgiveness is biggest attribute and quality of an individual. And it is very well said, before we forgive one another, we have to understand one another. This is a quotation which you can use in the conclusion. Or even you can say, by Mahatma Gandhi, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. So that way you can conclude. A strong mindset, a strong personality, not strong in sense of any community or anything. So this is how we are concluding our answer. So in the end, you are using quotations to substantiate your answer. So this is how our structure should be. We have discussed good points, good observations, good examples. But do you think it will come naturally in the exam until as we practice it? If we would have practiced the previous year question in 2016, we can easily manage the 2020 question. So this is how we write good answers. Okay, coming back to our point. So we have discussed about hatredness. So this is it with respect to emotion. Even though UPSC is not asking, we have to read emotions. So it depends upon how do we prepare ourselves for the exam. Now topic or the unit is talking about emotional intelligence, and till now we have not touched emotional intelligence. We have written 2 thought to ponders. We have discussed 3 questions. We have written 3 questions, almost 5 questions we have written. Now again I want all of you to write another question. The question is, this is a thought to ponder, so please use the templates, and this is for your brainstorming and live instant writing in the class itself. So do write here only. The question is, whenever you think of a perfect leader, okay, so whenever we think of a perfect leader, what comes to your mind? Just assume, just visualize, and then write. Perfect leader. Who will be perfect leader? A perfect leader will be someone who will understand others, good communication, who motivates others, who will walk a mile for others, for us. They give wings to our dreams. They are visionary. They will have empathy, sensitivity towards others. They will understand others. So when we talk about it, definitely you would have also written the same. When we talk about perfect leader, he or she should have those qualities. You know what are we talking about? We are talking about, wait, I will show you. We are talking about this. I will tell you what. So this is a quotation by Aristotle. This was the observation by Aristotle that anybody can become angry, that is easy, but to be angry with the right person and to right degree at right time for the right purpose and in the right way, that is not within everybody's power, and that is not easy. So you know what we are talking about? The perfect leader or the personality traits about whom Aristotle is talking about. We are talking about emotional intelligence. A person will be of emotional intelligence, high emotional intelligence, when Aristotle is mentioning those qualities, or whenever we are discussing that who can be a perfect leader, or whenever we are visualizing about perfect leader, what are the quality or the personality traits of a perfect leader. So let's have a look. Hope you have noted it down. Let's have a look. So when we talk about intelligence, intelligence is IQ. Intelligence is something with our knowledge. We manage a situation, we manage our day-to-day living. Intelligence about knowledge about science will give us understanding that how to manage the smart board, camera or laptops, lights, how to manage them. Intelligence will make us more smarter because we know how to live in the present scenario. But when we talk about emotional intelligence, it is made up of 2 components. One is intelligence, second is emotion. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, so emotional and intelligence. So we need to have intelligence with respect to emotional aspect as well. So what is it? Let's have a look at the definition. So this concept was introduced by, the word emotional intelligence was introduced by Peter Solvay and John Mayer in 1990s. Yes, we read Daniel Goleman more with respect to emotional intelligence, but these both people, they were founder, or you can say they studied this concept in detail, and based on their understanding, further Daniel Goleman, he popularized the concept. So emotional intelligence is what? The ability to monitor. Okay, whatever words are highlighted in red, they are the keywords. Even if you don't remember as it is, don't worry about it. Learn how to frame your own introduction, your own definitions. So what is it? It is the ability to monitor one's own emotion, one's own and others' feeling. Ability to monitor, that is the first component. Ability to monitor one's own and others' feelings and emotion. To discriminate among them, what is mine, what is others, emotions, not property. Emotions, to discriminate among them and to use this information to guide one's thinking and behavior and actions. So this is emotional intelligence. I hope it is clear to all of you that it is the ability to monitor one's own emotion, one's and others' feelings and emotions, to discriminate among them and to use this information to guide one's thinking and action. Pretty clear? Note it down. Please note it down so that we can proceed with next part of the question. Sorry, next part of the topic. So we know that how it is different from intelligence. Intelligence can be a smartness about technology, resourcefulness, ability to acquire knowledge, but emotional intelligence is not only that. In intelligence, we have the ability to comprehend complex ideas, reasoning, logic, but emotional intelligence is different. It is about understanding others. It is about understanding others by entering into their shoes and thus effectively helping them or working on the relations, anything. So please note it down. We will see other aspects. Okay. Next we have another definition. So emotional intelligence is the skill of perceiving. Again, always have keywords handy with you in order to frame your own definition. It is a skill of perceiving, understanding and managing one's own emotion and feelings and using the awareness to manage. Now you are perceiving and understanding your own emotion and feelings, and then you are using that particular awareness to manage ourselves. So you are managing whom? You are managing yourself and you are managing others in a relationship and different setting. So it is in another way an extension of the previous definition itself, but in another form, in a better form. How many of you consider yourself emotionally intelligent? Yeah, this is a thought to ponder for a practice. For it, it is a practice question for you. So please note it down. How many of you consider? So maybe I'm asking this in the class, but question can be: do you think that you are emotionally intelligent? If yes, why? Why do you think so? So this is a practice question for you. Yes, I'm serious. Please note it down. How many of you consider yourself emotionally intelligent? Or let's say, do you think that you are emotionally intelligent? Now you know the definition. Based on that definition only, you let me know whether you are emotionally intelligent person, yes or no. And next part of the question is substantiate it with the help of examples. This is the difficult part, because then we need to understand, we need to know ourselves. When I have reflected emotional intelligence, emotional intelligence is perceiving, understanding our and managing our emotions, and accordingly using that awareness for ourselves and for others in a relationship or different setting. So try karo, experiment karo, likho, then we will discuss about it. Think, how do you respond in different scenario when you are meeting beggars at the circle? Think that how you are managing a relationship of a student teacher, mother daughter, any relationship. When you see transgender beggars on the road, how do you respond? So I'm deliberately planting certain situations so that you can think on those lines. Okay? Okay, coming to our definition. We discussed about 4 components here: perceiving, understanding, managing. So let's have a look through this image. Perceiving into understanding emotion, managing emotions and using emotions. So this is what exactly our introduction or definition was having. The components were: emotional intelligence is about perceiving our emotions, understanding our emotion and using those emotions in order to manage our emotions and manage others in a relationship. याद हो गया definition? So what we have to do, we have to break it into different components and accordingly we should prepare ourselves. Accordingly we should frame our own definition based on our observation. So there is no need to mug up. The idea why I am telling you this is that there is no need to mug up each and everything. Use your common sense, use your observation. So along with that, after this rigorous practice, we can handle any kind of paper. Yes, speed practice we have to do. Okay, is this clear? When we talk about perceiving emotion, what does it mean? That understanding the emotions, precisely understanding them, perceiving them. Okay, mind it, these are not the components of emotional intelligence. So in previous year questions, you would have come across this information. What are the components of emotional intelligence? So these are not components. These are the components of the definition, not emotional intelligence. Okay, perceiving, understand. We should have ability to perceive our emotions, that how I'm behaving, in what way I'm behaving, how my emotions are leading to any particular action. Okay, observing our verbal and non-verbal communication. Based on that, we will be able to analyze ourselves, right? Second component is understanding emotions. Understanding emotions, we should know that if I'm angry, then what it is leading to. If I'm happy, what it is causing within me. Why I am happy. My happiness leads to what? So that understanding should be there. Basically, we should be self-aware of our emotions, our behavior, and that self-awareness is a kind of understanding about our emotions. Then using emotions, like beggar scenario. You talk about doctors during COVID times, they would have used their emotions based on their understanding and perceived. They would have perceived emotions accordingly. They would have used their emotions to help others. Right? Or you say that in any relationship, when we understand emotions, then accordingly we will take actions. That is managing emotions. So we are discussing in depth. That's why we are discussing on every key component of the definition, but that is not required. If we know this, then we can handle it. Now let's have a look at previous year question. This was a question asked by UPSC in 2019. The question was, emotional intelligence is the ability to make your emotions work for you instead or against you. So it is saying it is the ability to make your emotions work for you instead against you. Do you agree with this view? Discuss. So definitely you will discuss, but you have to substantiate it. This question was asked in 2019. Can't you write it? We have discussed about emotional intelligence. We have discussed the components. So you have to just write, you have to observe whether it is working against you or it is working for you in relationship, in emotions. So do attempt this question, then we will discuss about it. We will discuss in depth. So I will briefly tell you what should be the structure. The introduction, you have to talk about emotional intelligence. In body, you will talk about that how it is an ability. It is the ability for you and against you. Sometimes it is for you, sometimes it is against you. Then we will conclude. Okay. So write it, then we will discuss about it. We will discuss about this in the next class, and let me show what is waiting for you. So we will discuss about low IQ, and just hold on. We will discuss. Okay, we will discuss about difference between low IQ and low EQ and high EQ person. We will discuss about the components of EI. So we have discussed, we have managed the definition, and we have written the answer. Yes, we will discuss it when you would have written it on your own. then we will discuss it in the next class. After that, we will discuss about components of EQ or emotional intelligence. There is a question waiting for you. Practice question is there. Okay, why emotional intelligence is important? Thought to ponder. Yeah, so these thought to ponders will be there. Yeah, then we will understand difference between EQ and IQ. Okay, and then we will come to the second part of the topic, which is there, utilities in administration and governance. So there is a sub component of this particular unit which is there in the syllabus. The syllabus has the emotional intelligence, its components, and utilities in administration and governance. There we will discuss that how it works and how in a administration and governance setup it will help us in managing the work. So under that we are going to discuss about various points. Okay, relationship management, self-awareness, delegation, conflict management, be it building bond, trust, or organizational values. And based on that, this question was asked. We will discuss all these questions. Okay, and how to inculcate emotional intelligence. We have these questions from previous year, that what is emotional intelligence, how can it be developed in people, how does it help an individual in taking ethical decisions. So these are the things which are waiting. After that we will discuss about different types of keywords which we would have learned in the class. Okay, so this is it with respect to this unit, and this unit will be done. And today itself we have almost written 5 questions and 1 question, 2 questions are there homework for you. So do write them, practice, and then we will meet in another class and we will discuss that what all we have to write in those questions, and whatever remaining portion is there we will discuss that. Hope you enjoyed the class. Hope you are going ahead, or after this class you have a better understanding of your emotions, you have better understanding about yourself, about emotional intelligence. So take a step in order to become emotionally intelligent person and become more aware of your emotions. Take care guys, bye bye, see you, and we'll meet in the next class. See you, take care.